The Indian Financial Code has around 450 draft sections, and it tries to, at one go, replace a bulk of around more than 60 legislations which currently control Indian system. What is the first thing that the Indian Financial Code looks at? It looks at regulatory arrangement, and it's really important. I would like to debate on this. When you look at any other parliamentary law, its legitimacy is drawn from the fact that elected parliamentarians made the law. You may not like the law, but you voted and created the system. That you only have to blame for a parliamentary law you do not like. But for a regulatory law, that is not the case. Parliament has a democratic legitimacy, but regulators do not have democratic legitimacy. They are executive, they are not elected, they did not get into the position through a democratic process. So when a regulator makes a law, the question of legitimacy comes. Secondly, we have a formal and if not perfect, a very high level of separation between the legislature, executive and judiciary in India. But inside regulators, he's the lawmaker, the judge and the jury and the executioner. There is a mixture of the classical political science system of creating regulators, of creating separation of powers. The objective of the parliamentary law should be to create regulators with a clear expertise driven question. Your objective should be clearly drafted, in which is why the FSLRC becomes such a big law, because we try not to use the word in the public interest anywhere in the law. We try to move away and give specific powers. And once you've given a specific objective, you must also give an enumerated list of powers to the regulator to do. It cannot be that the regulator has the power to do anything it requires to solve that vague objective of public interest. And the most important part of it, since a regulator does not go every 5 years and gets the democratic mandate about its system, it has to have far higher accountability mechanism to prove that it is doing, it has to clearly demonstrate that it is doing well for the country, and that is the third wing. What do we do for the accountability mechanism? We first make a clarity of purpose. Secondly, we promote rule of law. Thirdly, we tie down the regulation making process, and there are important things we do in this. First, the FSLRC says that there should be only one instrument to make regulation, and that is regulation. This vast plethora of regulatory instruments we have in India has to go. There cannot be circulars, advisories, guidelines, each with a vague understanding of what the effect is, what is the legal consequence of it. Make one system. Second, regulation making should only be done at the highest level of the regulator. The board of the regulator should decide on which regulations come. Some low-level employee should not have the right to make a policy-level decision for the regulator. The regulator should first state what is it trying to solve by that regulation. It should clearly state the objective of the regulation. And does that objective fit within the regulatory system of the regulator's requirements? Then the regulator should justify the proposed intervention that it wants to do and demonstrate how that it will solve the market failure or the problem that systems can do. And most importantly, whether the intervention's costs are lower than the benefits out of regulation. To do a good cost benefit analysis, a regulator has to talk to the public. Practitioners and public are the only entities which have a good idea about costs. Otherwise, costs become a pure academic system. You have to do surveys, you have to understand actually the cost of doing compliance, and this is something which we have to standardize and start developing. We also have to do judicial review and we have to do reporting. The FSLRC has 9 areas on which it makes systems of regulation. The first area is consumer protection, which has been discussed. But let me give an example of what we want to do in this area. The idea is to help the consumer make an informed decision based on correct advice. All of us have, I'm sorry, I'm giving a lot of banking examples, but I'm not just criticizing one regulator here. I just want to point out some of the problems. All of us know that we have 5 free ATM withdrawals and the 6th ATM withdrawal is charged. But when you do the 6th ATM withdrawal, and that is supposed to protect the consumer from unsavory practices of charging ATM withdrawals, But when you draw the sixth ATM withdrawal, neither the machine nor anybody tells you that it is your sixth ATM withdrawal. It is that fundamental shift where you want to inform the consumer and let the consumer take an informed decision. Second is the area of prudential regulation. Again, this is something which we have confused a lot in regulation. Why do we want to do banking regulation? Why do we want to regulate banks differently from steel companies? The reason why we want to regulate banks differently from steel companies is that we don't want banks to fail, because the failure of a steel company is a consequence only on the shareholders and creditors of the steel company. The failure of a bank is a consequence on the depositors. Failure of an insurance company is a consequence on the insured who are now without insurance. So the objective of prudential regulation should only be to reduce the probability of failure of financial firms. But when firms fail, we should have the ability to quickly remove the assets of the depositors or consumers versus the assets of the creditors and the shareholders, and try to protect the assets of the depositors or insurers. So that brings us to the third recommendation, that every financial system should have a system of resolution. That is a good bankruptcy process by which, when a bank fails, and some banks will fail, we have to live with that. When a bank fails, the depositors' interests are protected before shareholders and other creditors are. The fourth point is systemic risk regulation. In a larger context, if we continue to only look at an individual bank, insurance company to look at whether they are failing or not, we miss the bigger picture. We miss the woods for the trees. So we need a system by which the regulators coordinate and come and see the world as a whole. Capital controls is extremely important. We have to have a rational way of looking at capital controls. Monetary policy, again, the constant failure on inflation has to be solved, and what the FSLRC suggests is a system of moving out of a magic way of looking at monetary policy to a clear monetary policy committee system of a modern elected voting process, transparency in monetary policy. Public debt management, of course, has to be separated from the banking regulator. It should be a separate body which is doing a transaction-based business of placing government debt and not doing financial repression or forcing people to buy government debt. There is a large amount of development requirements in the Indian system. Financial inclusion is an issue, but again, the objective should be clearly separated from the objectives of doing prudential regulation and clearly put it. Of course, we also need to, the last point is on securities market, insurance and contracts. As Mr. Sahu pointed out, that the contracts have to, that financial system depends on a large number of complicated contracts, and we need a system of enforcing those contracts. I'm sorry to say that we are not reducing the number of regulators in IFC. We are not reducing the total number, but we have an argument for why we have these number of regulators. This is quite different from what we are looking at. Why? Because we think there should be a reserve bank for looking at central banking and monetary policy. You should not be required to find out which is your regulator for other services. So you should have a unified financial regulator. The killing of unhealthy firms should never be done by the regulator, prudential regulator. The objective of the prudential regulator is to keep firms alive. If you are your doctor, you cannot be the person's undertaker, because the doctor is always hates the undertaker. We let financial firms fester and become zombies far too often. So the person doing the killing must be different from the person doing the regulation. And so you should have a merciless resolution corporation. Public debt of the state should be separately and clearly shown so that we have a clear idea of how the government is raising its resources. It should not be mixed into the banking system, therefore, which leads to financial repression. Consumers should not be worried about the financial structure at all. So consumers should get a single redress shop. There should be a single appellate agency for all rule of law questions. And of course, we need an overall overall financial stability regulator. So the idea is to get these 7 regulatory structures into the process. So the idea is not reducing the number of regulators, but the idea is to find a justification for the number of regulators we need to have.